I see we are recording now.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to allcounselors.com, another webinar where we talk about marketing and business stuff that relates specifically to clinicians, mental health professionals in the world. And so thanks for joining us. I've got my friend and colleague, Brad Osborne. He's going to be chiming in and sharing some techniques and tips about how to grow your practice. Every webinar we do at All Counselors, we want it to be highly practical, move you forward, and helpful. So at the bottom of the Zoom app is a Q&A button. If you have questions for us as we go, please post those in the Q&A button and we'll weave those into our presentation. Every webinar we do, we try to reserve some time at the end just for open Q&A. So get your questions loaded for that. But I'm going to dive in and I want to make the most of our time together. So this is 5 steps to growing your practice in 2021. And the thought here is just practical things that you can do and implement to start, grow, build your therapy practice. So next I'll share, and I'm sorry, Brad, I didn't get your bio up in time. Brad joined at the last minute and I always love his input. He is, I'll let him introduce himself in just a second. So my name is Cory. I'm the CEO of allcounselors.com. This is part of my life mission. I am not a mental health practitioner. I am not a therapist. I am someone that believes in mental health for myself. I've been talking openly since 2015 about my own story, well in the past, to help eradicate and obliterate the stigma of mental health on the earth and to help get more people to you, our mental health awesome clinicians and therapists and counselors in the world. My background is I started in 2008, a software company, built it over 10 plus years, and then it was acquired in 2018. And my next chapter is doing this right here. Like, I want to make a dent in the universe. I want to make an impact. And part of the way we're doing that through allcounselors.com is serving and supporting clinicians like you. Brad, and my emphasis is business, but also marketing, and everything we do around All Counselors is really focused on helping you grow your business through really good marketing techniques. Brad, you want to give a quick who you are to our crowd here today?
Yeah, I've joined Cory's team as a marketing specialist a little while ago and have been working on projects for All Counselors. I've been in the digital marketing space now for over 10 years, worked in a lot of different companies behind the scenes, and also very excited to help the message of mental health reach more people. So I'm happy to apply my lessons and experiences in the marketing world to help all of you to grow your businesses.
And the techniques we're going to talk about today, both Brad and I he's gone very deep in a lot of different marketing techniques. And my software company actually built software for website designers and specifically on a platform called WordPress. So you're in the right spot if you're looking to use marketing to grow your practice. So I'm going to dive into the 5 steps, and Brad, you chime in as you want and have commentary. But the first is, so I hope you've got a, pen and paper or somewhere you're taking some notes, not to quote Cory or Brad, but to specific items you can make some forward progress in your practice. The first is discovering. I say discovering because Brad and I are expeditionary entrepreneurs. We find what the person we're trying to serve needs, and we pair it with what we can do. So when I talk about ideal client profile, what I want you to think about, and I'd love for you to share that in the chat, share some of these questions I'm asking. I want this to be very collaborative, or participate and get the discussion going. But when I say discovering your ideal client profile, if you've already got a practice or you've practiced at all, you're in that phase, right? You're licensed, you're helping people. Think back anecdotally and go, who are the type of people, who are the type of people that tend to gravitate toward me in my practice? So that could be demographics, that could be geographics, all those type of things. Just think about for a second, who are the type of people that you tend to serve? We talked to a person that was on in New York, and they do mobile mental health for basically senior adults. It was really easy. It's like, who do you serve most? And that practitioner said, senior adults that are typically homebound. Okay, that's great. That's a start. Now we know that we want to serve people potentially everyone, but this helps. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't serve whoever you want to serve, but what are the types of people that gravitate towards you? Because this is going to matter in our messaging and our marketing when we talk about the next steps. So who are you serving? And then what kind of themes and issues might you hear about most? Now, I could probably assume that anxiety, depression could be some of those, particularly during social isolation, particularly during the pandemic. But I want you to think about that and think about the types of people that might gravitate toward your practice and wherever you're located, and then the types of topics or issues that you might see consistent. Is it infidelity? Is it work stress? Is it relational with a marriage? Is it parenting type issue? Do you serve just youth and, some particular treatment and things like that? How do you work with people? We'll talk about modalities in a second, but I want you to begin thinking about that. If you want to participate and share in the chat, please do so. So Brad, we do this because if you know who you serve, and sometimes it takes a while, who kind of one may, have the money to pay for professional counseling, licensed counseling, of course, that's our group. But, this ideal client profile, I think it's so key to know the kind of target of the people you best serve in your practice.
Yeah, that really helps with all of your other marketing efforts, at least to, establish a, when we start talking about things like keywords and how Google sees your business and your website, it can be really important to call out some of those, those special ideal clients in the content that you put on your website and things like that.
Yeah. And the messaging. So we're going to talk about websites next, and Google. We're going to include that. We got those two, because those are your two takeaways, by the way. But I don't think a lot of clinicians I talk to even think about this. I realize you have ethical and licensure and all that standards that you should go by, right? And I'm never going to pretend to do that area, but this is so helpful in any business, and your practice is a business. At the end of the day, you need to get revenue so you can support your life. And we have a mantra at All Counselors: do good and do well. If you do good in the world, which you all do as mental health practitioners, we love you and your work in the world. If you do good and well, you should do well too. And we want to help you with that aspect of the do well part. So, okay, there's some questions. That's our first step. It's just writing down who do I kind of anecdotally, you're not trying to probe, you're not putting anything down like specifics. I know you got to be careful with that, but like, who do you typically is drawn to you in your practice, and who are you drawn to? Some things you could think about are underserved groups of people. Veterans, we talk about that, minorities, people of color, LGBTQIA plus, any people group or themes that you kind of tend to focus or gravitate toward, and they gravitate to you, put those down in your notes right now. It's going to be very helpful coming up here in just a second. So that's first step. Second step, just like Brad said, I hesitated to put my business on here, but it's Google. So if you think about it, Google's kind of gone into the nomenclature, how we talk. It's become a verb, and it's a noun, it's a company name, and all this stuff. But there are people, hundreds, perhaps thousands of people every day, every week in your area, depending on the size of your area, that are typing in, just like you do for a plumber. You type in plumber into Google. They are typing in therapist or counselor or psychotherapist, or, let's say you specialize with youth, psychology and something like that. Think about those. That's why we started with the ideal client. Think about what they might type. It's different than the jargon you use in therapy work, but think about what they're actually looking for. Marriage therapist, relationship counselor, whatever your ideal client, excuse me, you've done in that first step. Think about how the terms they might use specifically in your practice to find you. Brad, this is, Google My Business is one of we call it local SEO, local search engine optimization. But this Google My Business is huge because it's a way that Google uses to find restaurants, plumbers, all that, therapists. And it's an avenue that we work with all the time at All Counselors because it is, one, free, and second, extremely effective. So it's free to get an account and start setting it up. You need an office address, although you can use your home and hide it. But Google My Business Google itself is a huge platform, but Google My Business is insane.
Yeah, in the last few years, especially, I'm sure you notice if you use Google for yourself on your phone or your computers, you'll notice that it gets better and better at finding more and more relevant results for your searches. And in the last few years, what they focused on with this product called Google My Business is they are really, really good at knowing, where you are. And so if you type in hamburger, it's not just going to send you to the global headquarters of McDonald's. It's going to see that you're close to, it's going to find your closest hamburger restaurant. So that's in the last few years, especially, it's become even more important to work on this piece because Google is using this as the way to sort out who gets shown for, people needing help in specific areas. So it's a very powerful tool.
So if you're a therapist or counselor listening to this today, you need a Google My Business profile, particularly in the United States, but it would apply outside of the United States too, because Google's still the biggest platform on earth right now to find. And this is their way, like Brad said, to find it. So you need to be there. And the beauty of it is it's free. Taking this first step and doing that, getting your free profile and then setting it up is so key. And one of our big steps. But do you see how we're building? And we'll talk next about websites. But first is start thinking about your ideal client who is drawn to you and you're drawn to them and then you help best in the world. And then when we come to Google My Business, starting to flesh your profile out about how you get found. So we want you to be found by the people searching. You think about this. When you type in Google, like you said, Brad, burger, I'm in the mood. I'm ready to buy. I'm a buyer of a burger. If I type that in, if somebody types in therapist, we want you to be found there in your area. We want you to be, and I know COVID and telehealth has expanded your potential area, to your state in the United States, at least, but we want you to be found because those are the best. We typically in e-commerce and other online type business work, we'll say those are the most ready to buy buyers. It's almost like money in hand. If I type in red dress or plumber or burger, I'm looking for something ready to buy something. And the same goes with therapists. So we want you to found there, and that's how you get found. So that's one piece. And I hope you're taking notes as we go along because something's going to stand out. And I'm going to give you some homework at the end. I'm going to tell you what it is. Take one step today and do it today. One of these things and do it today to make progress for your practice. Okay. The third step is getting a simple website going. And the reason why is not just because we think websites are cool. It's because websites are the home base, the hub. If you think about all the different things you could do in your practice to market your practice, the website is the hub and everything else is spoke that should lead back to it because your website is open 24/7, 365. It has your phone number, critical questions about your practice. Do I take insurance? What kind of insurance? Where do I go? How does it work? You have even maybe intake forms on there. It's your about section to show off who you are. It's if you talked to and you did your work on the ideal client profile, it's the way to share. This is who I work best with, and I'm magnetized. That whole magnet part. Website is absolutely vital. We love and suggest WordPress for that, but there's also other platforms out there like Squarespace and Wix that are great for building a website. But think about it. It's the thing. If somebody's trying to refer to you, where do you tell them? Do you give them your number, business card? Hopefully, if you're sharing a business card or an email or something like that, how do people refer to you? And that's why we believe websites are the critical home base for all of your marketing efforts. And you need a website, not just your Psychology Today listing or not just a Facebook page, but a website you control and you can do things with. So Brad, we talked to like from a marketing perspective on our website and in our messaging, we want to show off we need to answer the question, don't we, of what's in it for them? What are the questions we need to spin our perspective around and go, what is a potential new client into my practice asking? What are they wanting to learn? And those help us think through some key aspects of what we put on our website, which, by the way, can also be put on our Google My Business profile page.
Another great piece about the website is that Google is so smart that it basically is always reading what's out there on the internet. So if you put up a Google My Business profile and you have a website, and those two things have the same information on them, Google gives it even more thumbs up. It says, okay, this is legitimate. This is, it can correlate those two pieces of data. So it adds more power to both. They both power each other up, the website and the Google My Business listing.
Thank you for saying that. It doubles as a home base for everything in your marketing efforts, but it's the power up with it's the 1-2 punch with Google My Business and website. You're absolutely right, and I appreciate you mentioning that. Some things you want to think about when you put on your website are who you are. I'm a real human. You want pictures of yourself, if you are taking clients in a practice, maybe a really nice picture of your office location at some point too. But if you're like me, Brad, I want to do business, and I want to specifically with therapy. And my counselor, when I was researching and found my counselor, I wanted to see who the human on the other side was that I could potentially be connecting to. That's why it's critical to have, some bio information that says like, I'm a real living human and I care about what you're going through. And I've been trained professionally to do this. Like I've taken this as a career. What are some other elements in that website, and it kind of mirrors Google My Business, that you think about that we want to make sure counselors, therapists, psychotherapists include on their websites?
Again, those specialties are really, really, really big deal. I know I've been looking for a therapist in my area, and that was the main thing that really drove me to the groups of people that I was looking for, was the things that I'm looking for help with. And if those were, listed on their profile or on their website, then that gave me more confidence that they are going to be able to help me with the unique thing that I am looking for help with. And it didn't have to be that's their only one thing, right? It was just one of the things that they, thought it was important to list as a specialty, and that happened to connect with the thing I'm looking. They had other specialties too, but me as the person on the other side, I want to know that they called out that specific need.
When you're building your website, it's so good that you've got a fresh perspective to share too here, is that you need to think like what Brad's trying to share with you is like a client that doesn't know what CBD means, and by the way, that could have another connotation for most people if that's all you list on your site. So you need to think like a prospective client and answer their questions with your website. And the website's the best way to do that, because you want to lower that bar, Brad. We work all the time on lowering friction. Mm-hmm. And what we do at All Counselors and our other projects, lowering the friction to someone being able to say, I want to become a new client. I want to, in our terms, in some of the e-commerce projects, is like, I want to buy that product today. Taking out that friction. Okay, so that's website. And by the way, at All Counselors, we can help you with both your website and your Google My Business profile, and sync those up and use some best practices for digital marketing to help you score those new clients. So we'll talk about that at the end, how you can contact us and get a discovery session going. But who you are, what your degrees and your certifications are, and don't just put LSAT or LDAC. Put what that actually means. You might put the credential somewhere, but explain that underneath: licensed, clinical, whatever those designations mean. And if you're putting your modalities on your site too, which I think you should, the type of modalities you use, don't just put cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Sorry, I said CBD or CBT. Put that in parentheses too, but then share what that might mean on your site. What is that modality? We know them as modalities, and I only do because I work with, we work with clinicians all day, but what does that mean to the prospective buyer? Does that resonate with you, Brad? Do you know, if I throw all these little acronyms, they're just really industry jargon, what does that, what does that really mean to you? Like if Brad goes struggling with anxiety, I want to find a practitioner, and he goes on the site and he's looking and he says, cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, well, how does that help me with my anxiety? That's the kind of things I think about from a customer perspective. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Brad?
Yeah, with that kind of stuff, I just think it's important to have both, right? Because from the what Google calls it is authority, right? Google's really good at reading through the words on your pages and matching it up to all the other billions of words they analyze. And so they're really good at figuring out if you are who you say you are for the most part. And so I think from that perspective, it's important to have the technical terms, but then have a follow up, like maybe a little sentence or paragraph thinking, okay, cognitive behavioral therapy, and then how that helps you or how that helps my clients or patients or whatever. So that would be my take is both are important, right? Like it's
Yeah.
important for Google and for people to make sure that you're qualified properly, but also important to explain in a human, a normal person way, how is this helpful to you?
Yes. And I think the full modality, the abbreviation, and then what it actually means. So someone's looking for addiction recovery work, spelling out your licensure for that particular maybe emphasis. And I work a lot with, those recovering from a substance abuse addiction, or I specialize in eating disorders or whatever. But all three, because there's some people that might have been in therapy and are looking for those modalities. Like they want to see CBT, they want to see, EMDR. They might look for those things. And by the way, I've been in those spots too. Okay, so that's your website. That's the hub. That should be the centerpiece where you when we talk about referrals in a second, you share, hey, you can refer clients to my website right here, which has my phone number, all that kind of stuff. Okay, next, step 4. I almost hesitated to put this, but I think it's so vital because it's not just some of the type of techniques you can do from a technology perspective, using digital marketing, but I think you should. Every therapist should use digital marketing techniques to help you connect with the people that are looking for you and the healing that you can help guide them through. But I think often this little base level referral network, this isn't any type of business, but I want to translate it for practice, Brad, is, it's word of mouth. But, when I think about referrals, I've tried to put some things here for everybody to think through, like who in your market, who in your geographic region that you serve is maybe already full, like they just can't take any clients. And do you have something to reach out and see why? You might, if you don't know them, you might put the contact form, say, hey, I'm just trying to find Dr. Miller, or I'm just trying to, let you know, here's my website. I do that. If you're not taking any practice, I'd love for you to refer my way. I deal with, back to ideal client. I emphasize, my practice emphasizes these things, and you got the website. Next time there's a potential person they can refer, you're on the top of mind. But I think about, Brad, when is just going back to colleagues that maybe, my wife is actually just graduated with her degree, her counseling degree, master's degree, and I can't remember the actual name off the top of my head. But she's getting ready to study for her tests and things, but she's in contact with her colleagues, and that's a ripple effect. So I think, first step is just think about your colleagues, the people you know. I put in here too, a supervisor. So if you've been under supervision, or a supervising therapist around there, those are great connections too to make, because oftentimes they really have a heart to help you build your practice and things like that. But those are some of the thoughts I had originally, Brad, about building your network, spending, a couple hours a month, an hour a week, and just going, okay, here, I can build my network. I can reach out to these people. It doesn't cost me anything but a text or a phone call or a ping to their website. What are some thoughts about this referral network you think as our clinicians look at leveraging this tool in our 4th step?
I think you covered it pretty well. My one thought is that it's easier than ever to get in touch with people via social media. If you do have colleagues or, supervisors, etc., there's so many ways to get in touch with people in a way that's, very accessible. Instagram or Facebook or email or text or call or, send them a postcard or something too,
Handwritten letter goes a long way
Yeah.
too. And a business card that has a link back to your website and your phone number.
Now we're back to the hub, right?
Yeah,
like all
back
of
to
these
the hub.
things. Yeah.
I think about too, Brad, is adjacent type of businesses. So if we've done our work on step one, is we've thought about our ideal client, think about the adjacent services. So I had a clinician one time say a lot of rehab, physical therapy, like physical therapy. I'm blanking on the term, but they oftentimes refer to his practice because it's not something they do, but it's an adjacent service industry that would be a ultimate referral. Like, hey, by the way, maybe you sell wheelchairs, they sell wheelchairs, and you happen to hit with a senior or a crowd that's recovering from, big therapy or something. That's another idea I thought of. Can you think of some other adjacent type or ways that they could just use that ideal client to help them grow their referral network?
Well, my sister is an occupational therapist actually, and she does refer certain clients that she works with to mental health professionals if she feels like that's something that occupational therapy can't fully address. Then and I asked her, what's her method for who she refers to, and she basically just kind of refers them to an organization. But if she had a contact with a specific person that she knew was, trustworthy and a good fit, and she was happy to recommend that specific person, I think she would. She just hasn't, and nobody's come in contact with her yet, so that she can put a face to that place or that part of her, serving her clients. But so yeah, the more other, I think other professionals in the health industry would be a great network to build. And networking isn't always everyone's strength, but if it is something that is your strength, then this is a very easy way to make friends and meet people, but also get some more business coming your way.
Yeah, you made me think, and of course we're recording this while still COVID, we're still in the pandemic, but networking type events or even adjacent networking type events, where is there something you might add some value and learn something at the same time, but get to meet people. You got your business cards there that point back to your hub, your website, and be like, well, what do you do? That's oftentimes the meetups and things like that, a space. Our principle at All Counselors, Brad, that you've helped us formulate too, is you want to be found everywhere you can. It's like putting these little seeds, planting these little seeds out here. You're getting shown up in Google. You got your website as your home that points back. You're showing up at maybe a networking event. Maybe it's for entrepreneurs. You're like, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur too. I have my own practice. I'm going to show up. But you also go like, maybe that's a ideal client you focus on, or you're in the spot to be found. And that's where all these strategies build over time. And again, most of this is time, and for everything else, we got your back at All Counselors. Okay, that's step 4. Now 5. This is something that you might put on your calendar every now and then, is just if you got a Psychology Today or some other profile on a site, or you have a Facebook page or, some profile. We call, okay, if the hub is the website, these are the outposts. So if you've got a Facebook page, that's an outpost out here that's pointing back to your site. And you might even 2-3 times a year, I don't know what your thoughts about this, Brad, is just put on your calendar to go, is everything back up to date? Have I mentioned that I'm fully telehealth right now? Or if I mentioned I'm mostly seeing clients, or I've mentioned I had Saturdays, or whatever those things might be, is go and do a quick update of those outpost profiles and directory listings and social profiles out there.
Yeah, once again, just the behind the scenes of how Google works. It loves fresh updates. It loves to know that you're real, that you're responsive, especially during the COVID um, pandemic. They rolled out special features for local businesses that were addressing the questions that people have about COVID requirements. So if Google sees that you are, and again, Google kind of sees everything we do. They can, they can correlate your website to your Psychology Today, to your name and all that stuff. So if they see like, they get a little blip that says, oh, this thing changed, and this thing changed, it will, likely their algorithm will go and check and update everything. And this is my feeling, I can't say for certain, but having worked in digital marketing for a long time, is that you get a little boost in your Google gives you a little boost for being a responsive business, and helping out your potential customers or clients.
Yeah, and again, we want those profiles to link back. So if you've got an Instagram, you've got 50 people following you. To me, that's 50 people. We'll start where we are today. Make sure that profile also links back to what? Your website hub of all your marketing. So that's a little to-do list item. Go and update those profiles today. You might have pulled on a new continuing education thing and got a new modality to share or some kind of treatment option. Now I'm certified in EMDR, brain spotting. Now I work with this particular group of people. I didn't make sure everything is synced up, like Brad was saying. So Google and its artificial intelligence goes out there and goes, this is the picture of Brad. This is the picture of Cory. This is the picture of you, our clinicians and all counselors. Okay, so those are our 5 steps. I'll go back and repeat those in just a second, but I wanted to add a bonus. Now, I don't want to put too much on your plate. I want you to take one thing from today and go work on it. Is it updating my profiles? Is it just thinking through the website or buying my domain name or whatever that is? Is it starting my free Google My Business account? Whatever those things are, just taking one step from today that you can move forward. We want you to always be moving forward at All Counselors, to grow your practice, to reach more people, to create a well world. But the bonus here is content creation. This is one of our favorite. In fact, Brad and I, in addition to this, recorded something else earlier, and it's content creation. Now, make sure you get your base. The things I just shared about, that's your base. We call it the marketing tree. Is this level, the way you build your base of the tree with a website, then you stack on Google My Business, then you stack on these things. Okay. Call it the marketing tree. But if you're like many of us who have more time than money, content creation can be a great way to get new clients too. So just giving a, bland example for a second, anxiety. Brad goes, okay, I'm looking for anxiety. I'm in Michigan, that kind of thing. And your practice, you specialize in anxiety and depression. Well, a way to leverage your unique experiences and connect with people is to say, here are 5 things, or here's the things that you probably end up talking with clients majority of time, the things that really help people, or the light bulb moments, or the move forward things. Those can be fodder for an Instagram post, using some like Canva, canva.com as a tool. We'll be doing some training on that too, that you can use to build really good social type pictures that could go on an Instagram or a Facebook post. And so you might say, a quotes are the best, books, things that help people in their social in their lives that connect back to what you do and your ideal client are ways to draw people in and say, this person is for me. Brad's looking for this, that this clinician, this person, she gets me, he gets me, but Brad, just like anything, consistency is the key. If you get into this, I almost hesitated about putting in there, but I wanted to give you a bonus one. This is like graduate from this first 5 steps we said, then you can start thinking about content creation. But consistency, Brad, is the absolute key when creating content.
Yeah, and this is another place too to just check in with your strengths and the things that you are good at and that you like, right? So maybe being on social media is not your thing. It's not really my thing. I don't spend much time on Instagram or Facebook, but I really like to talk. So Cory and I have started a podcast, and there's if you like talking, then a podcast can be a really great way to put some content out in the world, to help people to find new people, and again to keep building up that credibility in Google's eyes. You can put it on your website as just a free, value add to people out there, sharing your advice. Anchor.fm is a tool that I just set up a podcast Cory and I are doing today, and it's amazing. I can't believe how simple and easy it is to make a podcast now. It's literally like 3 clicks. I have created podcasts in the past. I didn't know how easy it had become because it used to be really hard. So same, if you like being on camera, many people do not at all, but there's very simple, easy ways to record YouTube videos, or again, we don't want to overwhelm you, but I would just say, start thinking about the medium that is comfortable to you. If that's writing, if it's words, then we can talk about blogging. We can help you with some strategies for blogging. If it's, or Facebook posts or Instagram, right? If it's pictures, you're visually creative, Instagram is a great place. If you are good at video, if you like video editing kind of things, then YouTube could be good. So again, not trying to overwhelm you, just it's a good place to lean into, discover and lean into your strengths and the things that you're comfortable with.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Brad. And that's such elegant advice that I hope you all take for now. So Anchor, for instance, that you mentioned, Anchor.fm has an app. So if you have an iPhone or an Android, they've got an app, and it's this easy. Click a button. So if you say podcast, I can do this easy. Click record, start talking about the subject. And by the way, do a first version of it, meaning your rough draft, just start publishing, and you might just test it out and see how it goes. But that's how easy Anchor.fm and the tools that you mentioned, Brad, so good. That's excellent advice. Okay, so what we talked about today, I want to go over this again. One is start with your ideal client. Think through the type of people that are attracted to your practice. Think back about the clients you've had in the last 6 months and just try to find some themes of the type of people that resonate with your practice most. Okay. And then pair it with who you want to work with. You may say it's just teens, or it's just senior adults, or it's married couples. Your LMFT, I believe, is the destination. So like, think of all that, get that. That's your first step. Then Google, specifically, it's called Google My Business. Having an account there. If you have an office, this is one reason you might consider keeping your office, by the way, because it looks like where I'm at in Oklahoma City is going to differ from when Brad types in therapist, because Google knows where you are. They know surprisingly, scarily more than you want to know. Then Google My Business, that all builds to a website, which the website is the hub of your marketing. I want to make mantra that as much as you do your own modalities and treatments and things like that with clients. So I want you to know my website is my marketing hub for all of my efforts growing my practice. Then we talked about referrals. We talked about some ideas for building referrals that you can do that's virtually free. It just takes some of your time, but getting out there and meeting people. And maybe there's people meeting online. And then we talked about number 5. I just blanked because I was thinking about content creation, but number 5 wraps it all up. And it is, oh my gosh, Brad, I blanked today. It's been a day, huh? Updating your Outposts. Going to your social profiles, directory. Next time I'll know to have a slide here that says a recap of all the 5. Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I want you to take one thing from today. You go, I can do that. Whatever that is, and take that step today. Right after you end this webinar, get off this webinar, take a step if you have some time, or over the weekend, and make forward progress for your practice. I'll tell you, there are people out there hurting, and I am and have been one of them, that need to be connected to what you do, have been spent a huge part of your life training for, preparing for, and now it's calling that you do in the world. They need to be connected to you. These are ways to get connected. And if you need help doing all that stuff, we want you to know what we do at All Counselors is this right here. We want you to do the therapy. We want you to work in the healing, helping people heal, guiding them with all of your training and all of your experiences. The world needs you. We want to take it, all counselors, the heavy lifting of the marketing side off you, the technical know-how, all this kind of stuff. You can book a discovery meeting with us, our team. Go to allcounselors.com/contact. There's a button that says schedule an interview, or you can just hit the contact form and start the discussion. We want to work with you. We love what you're doing in the world. And I want to say a big thank you. That's what we should leave with every webinar with us. Thank you for what you have dedicated your career and your life to do in the world. We need more of you out there, and we're here to help you connect with people hurting. Brad, do you have any parting thoughts before we take some questions and release everybody to go do their homework?
I think you've covered it pretty beautifully, Cory. I'm excited to hear some questions.
Okay, so we're gonna step into the Q&A period. But again, come to allcounselors.com, hit the contact button, and please let's start a conversation with our team. We're here to help you. We love what you do in the world. But if anything, you can take some of these things and make some forward progress in your counseling business.